Hello, buenas tardes, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning somewhere out there in the world. Thank you for joining me. And of course, I did a special time just for this one guest that we have on today. And of course, I needed to bring him up today. I needed to hear what great things that he and his team are doing. And sometimes we have to make some adjustments, right? So I know that this is Real Talk with E.V.E. That's Real Talk with E.V.E. And we have Cesar Roman coming on today. And I think he is just doing some amazing things. And first of all, it takes a team, right? Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say. And I'm glad that he is the one doing this, although I have not told him, but I will tell him that he's chosen to do the right thing. He's chosen to be the person to do what it takes to do. And he's from East Chicago, Indiana. And of course, I want to thank all of you for joining me right now, joining our show, Real Talk with EVE. And, this is a solution based show, just so you know, in case this is your first time that you are joining me. And of course, feel free to chat, to ask questions. I'm going to bring up our guest in a minute. And it's just been an amazing day. For those of you that follow me on social media, I'm just full of energy and don't know what to do with it, right? And it's not the coffee, although I had my cup of coffee already. But I'm going to bring up, don't want to keep him waiting in the waiting room. So we're going to bring up Cesar Roman, all the way up from Indianapolis. He's actually on the road. So let's bring him up. Hola, Cesar. How are you?
Hola, Eve. Hola. How's everything? How are you today?
I am fine. I'm amazing, and I don't know what else to do with myself other than to share it with you.
Like always, full of energy, full of energy.
And positive vibes. May those that are watching us get to feel it and see it, right? Well, as you guys can see, my guest is actually in a car coming all the way down from Indianapolis. How's Indy doing down there? How's the weather down there?
Oh, you know what? It was beautiful weather. Actually, a little rainy, but it was going to be in the 60s for the next several days. And so,
What's your
when I
map?
was looking at when I was looking at the weather up here, I noticed the 30s, and I'm in Northwest Indiana this morning. But that's part of the job, right, Eve? I'm director of community engagement for the Institute for Quality Education. We are a K through 12 policy organization that advocates for families in the space of education throughout the state of Indiana. And so today is Northwest Indiana. Happy to be around in the region and happy to be here with you.
And happy to have you here. And I said, today I'm making an exception because you don't come up here often from Indianapolis. And so we needed to share this information. I needed to make sure that you let the viewers know what exciting, great things you guys are doing downstate for everybody, but most of all for our students. Cesar, you already said you're from East Chicago. You're down from Indianapolis. My school options. How many parents are watching here? They're all about school options. Yes, I'm one of those. Yes, without even knowing the options that we had, I always made an option for my kids. It costs money to make that option. But guess what? The beauty of all of this is that there are more options and you don't have to pay. I'm like, what? I wish they had that when I was growing up. I didn't have to work to pay my high school tuition. And now, parents, you don't have to work so hard to give your kids a better education. And as all of you know, I've been here on earth to help improve the quality of life and the quality of education. And so I had to make an exception to change my time just for Cesar. How about that?
No, we thank you, Eve. And as you're mentioning, the state of Indiana, there's 1.2 or 3 million kids that attend school every day, and there are a lot of school options when it comes to education. And when I think about options and choices for families, I think about one of the most basic tenets of being an American, right? Is we love choices. We love we love different things. When we go to the supermarket, we often expect to see 30 different sodas or 10 different types of plates. And so when we talk about education and education options, what we do talk about is what is the best option? What is the best choice for education for your child? And every understanding that every child is unique and every child has different needs. We embrace all of that. And so, as an organization that really fights for the families, we support all sorts of education. So, if the traditional public school system is working for you and your family, that's great. What we find is that over 90% of the kids still attend public school districts. But Indiana actually offers, Eve, a variety of other programs and
Yes.
choices in education. When you talk about we have our public charter schools. We have our non-public schools, right? Which a lot of them tend to be religious schools, but that's an option and choice. We have homeschooling. We have virtual schooling. We have micro schooling. We have co-ops. I mean, Indiana has a full, robust menu when it comes to the types of choices and options a family can choose. What our job really aims to do is to inform families and have them make the best choice for them and their children.
And that's the thing that we have to put that message across the board for all parents to think for themselves and for their children. What's best for you? Parent, are you investing in your child? Don't expect the educators just to do it. And it's been so long where we've pushed, Cesar, public education. I was pushing private education, but I get it. Not everybody can afford it. I get it. And so with you bringing this up, and I know that you guys have shared quite a bit of information about the programs that the state has been approving, the Treasurer Department or the Department of Treasury has been approving, and I'm just excited to hear all about it. And Cesar habla en español en inglés, so we're gonna have to bring him back to just do a Spanish because that's where our contact or our communication lacks is in the Spanish speaking community.
Yeah, no, I think that when it comes to education, right, we all need a little bit of help navigating what can be a very complicated world. And this tends to be pretty scary for families when you start talking about one sort of education or another, or just a word that we don't understand. So I totally really understand that. Yeah, I'm a father of five children. And so as a father, I understand that there's a lot of complexities in life, and life gets complicated very quickly for us. And education can be a very complicated subject, and so a lot of us often don't know how to engage the world of education. And to your point, Eve, right? How can we best support our children, be there, lock and step with them, and advocate for their education? And so Indiana, as we mentioned, even as you just mentioned, has some incredible programs that really help families when it comes to making some of those options accessible to them. Indiana currently has three what we call school choice options programs, and those three programs are designed to help families pay tuition and fees at non-public schools. So schools that charge tuition, the state of Indiana offers three different programs that make it easier for families to access that sort of education if that fits the need of your child, again, right? And so uh, there is the Indiana Tech Scholarship Program. There is the Indiana Choice Scholarship Program, also known as the voucher. And as you mentioned, Eve, there's a brand new program that's ran by the Indiana Treasurer's Office called the Indiana Scholarship Account as well. And all those three are designed to help families pay tuition and fees at non-public schools, schools that charge tuition to attend.
That is awesome. I mean, to hear that there are programs, vouchers to give us more of a wide variety to choose from, whether it's from private Catholic, Christian private schools, charter schools. I mean, there's money there to receive as a parent, as an educator. I'd love to see more funds coming into charter schools, Cesar. And
Yeah, that's exactly, another aspect of education, right? That folks don't often think about it as it comes to another school option. But public charter schools are public schools. And a lot of times folks get that confused and think they're a private organization or a private school, or that there's tuition costs to attend a charter schools. Charter schools are free, very much like your traditional public schools. Public charter schools are free schools and are open to all kids. And so right now, there is a disparity. There is a funding gap between our traditional public schools and our public charter schools. On average, our study finds that a public charter school student receives about $7,000 less than a traditional public school kid. And when I think about the different areas in which charter schools exist, there are a lot of our urban areas around the state. In particular, in Northwest Indiana, we have charter schools in Gary, we have charter schools in East Chicago, and a charter school in Hammond. And so we definitely have some charter school families in the region and in the area. And what we want to see is equitable funding. We want to see all those children receive the same amounts as their peers that attend other traditional public schools. And we want to just make sure that kids across the state of Indiana are receiving a quality education above all.
and that's the key, to receive the quality. Those are the key words, quality of education. Sometimes we're missing it. We don't know if it's the quality or not. And so
Yeah, no,
what do we do?
that's very difficult, right? But to your earlier point, Eve, of a parent being a partner in education with our child, right? That's a must. And as a parent, we often speak for our children. We're often advocating for our children when it comes to a lot of different things in their lives. But when it comes to education, we often leave it up to others to tell us how to advocate for our own children. But I will say this, that as a parent, we are equal partners in this effort to educate our children, and we are an asset to the conversation when it comes to working together with the school system, with the teacher, with the district, in order for us to really raise the most productive child that we can. As a parent, we're there with our children every day. We are going through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so we definitely have a very unique perspective to share that could definitely impact how our children are educated. And so I think that one of the things that we often do as parents is that we don't advocate. We don't feel that we have an equal place, an equal footing as an educator, as an administrator, but we are definitely our child's first advocate, as well as their first teacher. And we are continuously looking to make their life better. And so when it comes to education, we should consider ourselves an equal partner in the effort to educate our babies.
And as we should. And as an educator, I call myself an educator by default, but we're really, as a parent, we're the first educators a child can have. And so our kids rely on us in making better choices for them. They don't know any better. You stick them in
Yeah.
one classroom, what can they do about it? Nothing. You stick them in one school, what can they do about it? Nothing. Unless they come home and say, "Hey, mom, dad, the school isn't really working for me. I'm struggling," or "This is the teacher doesn't care." I mean, we hear a lot of those "the teacher doesn't care" thing, right? I don't like to hear students say that. That just says we need help. We need to do some more training or something, right? There's always room for improvement in a home in the education realm, but ultimately, as I always say at our school board meetings, Cesar, that at the end of the day, it's all about our kids.
It definitely is, right? And I think that that's one of the perspectives that's often left out when we talk about education, when we talk about policy, when we talk about monies, right? Is the kids. And as I like to think about them, they are the consumers of the product, right? They are the end user, and so we should always think with our children and those that we're educating on the front end. They should definitely be considered when making decisions. They should definitely be brought to the table to help make decisions. And so, one of the things that we often find, right, is that we have a lot of people, a ton of people making decisions about our children and their education before it even gets to us and our family. And so, we need to understand that there is power in your voice, and there is power in your ability to advocate and create change, and it is funneling that through proper sources that can really drive you to be an advocate for change, not only for your own child but for your community and for children across our state.
Mhm. That's right. And so with that, knowing that there's options there, Cesar, how can you, and for those of you that, the contact is right there, Cesar at myschooloptions.org. Check out the website, myschooloptions.org. Follow them on Facebook. They are now, the politicians or they're downstate. They're in sessions, right? They're in sessions. So here we are leaving it up to our politicians to help us improve or not the quality of education. Tell us what goes on when you're down there. I mean, and invite the community to come down there and win and why.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Eve. This is legislative session happening in the state of Indiana right now. This is an annual occurrence, right? So our legislators in the state of Indiana meet annually for what they call session, and it is a time where they meet and create policy and laws. And so right now in the 23-24 legislative session, this is what they call a budget session. These are every other year for the state of Indiana is when we make budget decisions that will impact the state for 2 years. This is what they call a long session, Eve, where the session will run from January all the way to the end of April. And this is where you see a lot of the laws or the policies that have a fiscal impact on our state. Currently, the state of Indiana is currently investing over $7 billion every year for K through 12 education. Let me say this again. The state of Indiana, yes, every year, right, invest over $7 billion in K through 12 education alone. I'm not talking about post secondary education, right? Our universities, none of that. I'm talking about K through 12 education. It is the largest chunk of a single expenditure for the state of Indiana is to educate our children into K through 12 schools. So $7 billion. What that really says is that there is a lot of different folks that weigh in on the education of our children, right? That have a say so on how education is shaped or happens in our state. And so it is very important, to your point, Eve, for us to understand the role that we can play as advocates, as folks that support education, as folks that want to see better education for our children and those across the state, to stay in tune, to pay attention to what is happening during the legislative session, and in particular this session, where you will have so many laws that will be passed that will impact the entire state for the next several years and years to come after that. And so right now, what we at the Institute for Quality Education are doing is we are always fighting for more options, more choices, more opportunities for families to access education and have the best education for their children. And so we're embarking yet on another session where we're asking our legislators to continue to expand programs that support education. We're doing some work on the front to support the charter school community, the public charter school community, in our efforts to really balance that gap in funding that we just spoke about. We're also working to expand the choice scholarship programs, eliminate access points from families, make more families eligible. We're also looking to expand the education scholarship account and make more families eligible and have more families participate. And so our efforts as an organization are always going to be to support a family and make education more accessible and attainable so that a child could be put in the education environment that best suits their needs.
Wow, that's a lot. You said billions. Wait. What's wrong with this picture? You know, I keep it real. Of course, the show says real talk. So, can we be real? Is that money really being allocated as it should?
Well,
And
yeah, I think that no, I think that there's a lot of different studies, right, that can show you a lot of different things. But one of the things that we continuously hear is the need for more money to reach the classroom, right? Whether it's from a teacher, a parent, I mean, my family often brings, pencils or glues or just materials to help out, right? I know the teachers are consistently buying materials, going out of their pocket, buying books, buying things that they think the children need to better educate them. So to your point, right, is those billions and billions of dollars reaching the classroom? A part of that does reach the classroom, right? But that's one of the things that we find as well is that not enough of those monies get directly down to the classroom so that they can be used for educating other kids, right? And so when you think about monies and the way that they're distributed, right? There's a lot of monies that don't go directly into the classroom, and so that definitely impacts the quality of education that our children receive, right? And then also compensation for our teachers and support staff and all those that really are in the fight of educating our children.
so, how you may have said it, but how can our charter schools, and we have a few educators that will be watching, if not now, how can we bring in more funding to our charter school? I know that we don't get the full amount per student. Is there a way, or has there something been passed already, or are we still downstate kind of arguing?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, like as I mentioned, right? So this session runs from January to April, and as my team often says, Caesar, this is not over until April 29th, and so you can't really count anything done until then, right? And so the process to continue to ask for equitable funding for charters is still continuing. We ask that you continue to support charter schools. I will be happy to share a link for people to take action or to contact our legislators, Eve,
It is
that I can
the
share with you.
link. Yeah, we're going to type it up here in the comments. Go ahead, say it to us, and I'm going to share it.
Well, I don't have it on me, but I will get it
Oh,
to you.
no
So sorry.
problem.
Yes,
Is it the
sorry.
link
Says
for the session, the meeting?
for no for an action. So for people to either send an email or information for them to contact their legislator and tell them that they support equitable funding for charter schools. I think that that's the most important thing you can do. I know from our work and our experience, Eve, that all those things matter, right? So every time you call your legislator and you say you are for or against something, they are literally writing it down and taking note of it. And they will know exactly who and what, how many for, how many against, how many phone calls I got, right, on any given issue. And so that's why it is very important to make your voice heard. I have had so many people ask me, Eve, does this really impact? Does my advocacy really matter, Caesar? And I often say, absolutely, it does. We work with a lot of folks at the State House that continuously are monitoring and paying attention to who's for, who's against, and how much support or how much opposition any given policy or bill is given. And so people's voices, people's advocacy is extremely important. I will be happy to share that information with you, Eve, for you to get out with your
Please.
audience.
Yes.
And please continue to support all our children, right? And so our charter schools, our choice communities, our if traditional public schools work for you, please just continue to champion education is really my number one message, right? So that kids across the state of Indiana are receiving the best possible education, and we can have the most productive workforce and the best suited kids to really be part of our communities.
So, do you encourage families, educators to go downstate while they're in session? Are there specific days that they can do that? If so, how can someone that is available, that makes themselves available and want to be that advocate, want to be that voice, what do they need to do, Cesar?
So there's definitely opportunity. So that the state house is the people's house in Indianapolis, right? And if you have not been down to the state house, you definitely must make a journey to the Indiana State House. First of all, Eve, it is one of the most beautiful buildings in the state of Indiana. It is gorgeous, right? And it really does tell the history of Hoosiers, and so definitely a must see for all Hoosiers, for all of our Indiana residents to go down and understand that this is the people's house. This is your house. Folks are often at the state house, making their voice in support or in opposition be heard, and all groups are welcomed. If folks want to come down to the Indiana State House, if folks want to meet with legislators, if folks want to advocate on behalf of charter schools or want to support choice education, I would ask you to contact me, Caesar at myschooloptions.org. We can help you arrange all that. And so our team often does that, right? For constituents, for moms, dads, educators, students that want to come down, that want to meet with groups of elected officials, that want to make their voice heard, that want to show support or want to show opposition. All that is available to you. Definitely encourage you, if you have not done so, to come on down to the Indiana State House and take a look at it, because it is truly the people's house. It's open to the public, right? And it is accessible to all. And so definitely want to make sure that folks feel comfortable in understanding that there's a place where our laws are happening and our lives are being impacted, but you have access to that as well.
Yeah, no, and that's great. So if there's some educators watching here, school board members, parents, gather together and go downstate, be heard. Your child is your child, be their advocate. And I know that My School Options comes to the community in Northwest Indiana to teach them how to be an advocate for their child. I mean, you have so many programs that are available to our community, to our Latino community. We can do these workshops en español. I mean, there's no excuse for not knowing. We just have to show up, if you will, for our
Yeah,
kids.
no. Make your voice heard, right? And Eve, we are always happy to facilitate anybody's entry point into advocacy or into the world of education, right? And make you feel comfortable and understand that you do have a place. One of the, as I often tell folks, I've been in the space of advocacy for over 20 years, and the number one tool that an advocate always possesses is the story of you, right? And your story is your story, and nobody could ever change that. And so, as an advocate, and if you're a new advocate or you're a seasoned advocate, the power of your story is the most powerful tool that you possess. And so, sharing that with others, your experience, good, bad, and ugly, is essential for folks, right? I have Eve, so many legislators
Mhm.
often say to our organization, we don't want to hear from you. We want to hear from folks that are actually impacted by, right, the legislation, the laws, the policies, and we want to hear their story. And so what we do as an organization is we want to make you feel comfortable in sharing your story. And so to Eve's point, we do trainings, we do opportunities for you to engage. We create information sessions. We do advocacy trainings. There is an array of offerings that we, as an organization, try to offer so that you feel comfortable in accessing advocacy and you feel comfortable in accessing the world of education.
That's wonderful. So, Cesar, if there's an educator or someone in the school wants to bring you in to talk to parents or things like that, are you indisposed? Are you, I'm sorry, making yourself available for something like that, or someone from the team to do that?
I always love to, as I say, travel the state and talk to folks about the power of education. So I'm more than happy to do that. And as Eve mentioned, the Institute for Quality Education, the My School Options team, which is our outreach team, has team members positioned throughout the state of Indiana. And so it's not just me as the one man band, but there is an organization. There's a whole team of us positioned throughout the state that are happy to raise awareness, to share information, and have folks understand and use the programs that are available.
Wonderful. Well, you guys heard it from Cesar. His contact is right on the bottom of the screen. Thank you for everyone to join us that joined us today. Please share these videos. Those that missed the show, there's always an opportunity to hit replay or hit play and let everybody know about Real Talk with EVE. In the last 15, 20 seconds, Cesar, anything else you'd like to mention to our audience about My School Options?
Yeah, and thank you, Eve. So Eve mentioned, please go to myschooloptions.org. There you will find all school types. So if you're looking for information on different school types, if you are looking for different school types in your area, there's a school finder for you to also punch in your address and find schools within your area, all school types. There's also an app. So if you go to the Apple or Google store, you could download our app, myschooloptions.org, and please stay connected with our work at My School Options.
Wonderful. Well, Cesar, thank you so much. I know you have other places to go to since I see you are in the vehicle ready to go to your next location. Be safe out there, and we're going to stay in touch and continue. He's going to share on the links and the information here with us when he goes back to home office. And so be on the lookout, stay alert, be woke, people. It's all about our kids at the end of the day. We have to shape their minds and give them the best that they so deserve. As educators, we have to give the best programs for them. Why not? Someone did it for us. We got to do it for them as well. That's it. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
And I appreciate all that you do. Gracias.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
And so, with that, I hope that you guys have taken a nugget of what's taken place in today's show. I thank you for joining us here every Wednesday. Lunch and learn at 12:30, but today was an exception. We delayed it an extra hour just to make sure that we have our guest to come on. He is busy on the road coming up from Indianapolis. And of course, we've gone over a little bit of our time, but it's okay. Thank you once again for joining me. And until next time, I'll be back on Saturday. Let's see who we bring on this coming Saturday. It's all about solutions. Are you about solutions or are you about a problem? Let's see. What do you think? With that, thank you for joining me. Peace to you. Take care.